up, everyone? This is Tia Kirby. Welcome back to another episode of Heart of the Matter. Today we are getting to the heart of the matter with blogger and social media sensation Charlene Walton, also known as Text Your Talk. If you are not familiar with Heart of the Matter or are new to this platform, this is a platform where we get past the facade of social media and allow real life to happen and allow you to see that everybody's life is not so perfect. Everybody goes through something, and we want to make a platform so that you can connect, find someone that you relate to, maybe find your story in someone else's, and gain inspiration and encouragement. So without further ado, let's get into Charlene's story. Welcome back. If you were just joining us, we are getting to the heart of the matter with Charlene Walton, also known as Text Your Talk. I'm going to allow Charlene to introduce herself and tell you a little bit more about her and share her story. Tell us more about you and a time that maybe not many people know that you were going through, or how you got through the experience that you had.
Sure. Well, first, thank you so much, Tia, for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being my guest.
I'm so excited. No problem. I'm so excited and so happy that you are doing this because, like you said, social media is one of those things where you just see the highlight reel.
Yes.
And you don't really know what people are really going through. So I'm very happy to share my story, and I'm very happy to share something that's very dear to my heart, which is therapy. So
yes.
Therapy has a huge stigma, particularly in the African American community.
Yes.
You know, I'm a Jesus lover, and I love Christ and faith and church just like everyone else. But there's something to be said about going to a professional to talk and discuss your feelings, especially not feeling judged from your church community or other people who may run back and tell family members or whatnot. So my story actually is probably very similar to a lot of people who have experienced dealing with a parent with cancer and a parent who has died from cancer. So in 2016, my dad discovered that he had bladder cancer. And so he had a lot of back and forth surgeries to the hospital, biopsies and things like that. And I would take him to the hospital to his appointments. And my dad and I, we've always been very close. I'm a daddy's girl, probably like everyone else. So he really trusted me to take him to his doctor's appointments and things like that. In 2017, last year, however, things kind of took a turn for the worse, and they definitely got worse before they got better, or I guess they never got better at all. And so he ended up passing away in April of 2017, April 21st. And that was a very hard moment for me, particularly because I had been so close to him throughout this entire journey, being with him at all of his surgeries and his doctor's appointments and driving him here and there, making sure he had his medicine. Like, I'm the person he called in the middle of the night if something was wrong, and, you know, I'm rushing to the hospital to take him to the emergency rooms and things like that. So I was very involved in the process, like, from start to finish. And after he passed away, I'm the type of person that's like, I harbor my feelings a lot. I don't know if that's something they say about cancers, but I'm a Cancer, so I'm very emotional, but it's like I'm going to hold it in to the last minute until I probably just like snap, which is not good at all. So that's essentially what happened with me and my dad. Like, I harbored my feelings a lot. And what I also did is I threw myself into work. To not focus on the pain and the grief and all that. So, of course, I'm a natural hair blogger, but at the time I also had my online beauty supply store, Textures Natural Hair Care. And the goal of that was to always open a brick and mortar store. And I was like, okay, if I don't do it now, like, then when? When am I ever going to do it? So he passed away in April. I would say from May to October, like, I threw myself into work. Like, I was scouting locations, I was meeting up with contractors, I was negotiating leases and finding POS systems and going to conferences and all this stuff. Like, I was just like go, writing my business plan. I even got as far as getting to the point where I was about to get my small business loan and going through the stress with all of that. Like, I was so into it, and I just threw myself into work. And the store actually ended up not working out. I was very devastated by that because I ended up not having a lot of money. And then I decided to close my store. And then I just realized at that point, that was probably around October, November-ish. Mm-hmm. I was like, wow, like, I have really been go since April. And it's been like 6-7 months, right? And I have not allowed myself to fully grieve.
Right.
Because I've just been working. So once I closed my store, I said, you know what? I am going to stop doing everything business. Like, I don't feel like blogging. I don't want to run this store. I'm closing it down. And I was like, I'm going to go to grief counseling, to therapy.
Right.
Luckily, my fiance and I, we'd already been to counseling prior to with our therapist before, in the previous year. And she was wonderful. She was amazing. But this time I just decided to go back by myself.
So what would you say was the moment, or what would you say that made you think, I need to go to counseling?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, after we went to counseling and couples therapy, she was like, I want you to come back by yourself. And I was like, what? Like, I'm good. Like, I don't need any more work. Like, what do you mean I need to come back by myself? So she told me that, and I didn't really think nothing of it. I was like, she's crazy. Like, I'm good, you know.
I got this.
Right. But I thought about that moment. Even my fiance, he was like, you know, maybe you should go talk to the therapist. And I'm like, I guess. So I just signed back up. I went back to her. And what I love so much about our therapist is she never places the blame on anyone to make you feel bad, even in couples counseling.
Right.
Like, you're not right, you know. I mean, he's not wrong, you're not wrong. It's just that you guys are looking at things from a different perspective.
Right.
And you both bring to the table different childhood wounds, which, like, blew my mind. I'm all about childhood wounds now. So since she already had all of my history and she knew all of my childhood wounds, my relationship with my father, my relationship with my mom, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to her.
So when you went to counseling, of course, you said you lost your dad and your business all within a matter, what was the time frame?
I would say 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
Yes.
A lot. And I use the word lost. I don't know if I should use the word lost, because listen, she was kicking butt with her online business.
Thank you.
No, really. And I knew your dad passed away, but I did not realize everything that you were carrying, because I didn't realize what he passed away from or anything like that. And I did not realize that you were doing all of that to cope. So with that being said, with you handling everything, how do you feel like you handled all of that without bursting or without spilling over or without having a meltdown moment?
Honestly, I really have no idea. Because during the time when my dad was in the hospital and I was back and forth, like, I was running my online business by myself, and I still had a full-time job on top of that. And my full-time job is the one where I have to travel. Like, I travel internationally. Like, when let's see, in March of 2017, I was in Vancouver, for like 12 days while my dad was sick, and then I had to come back and finish that. In addition to running an online business, like, you still have to fulfill orders, ship them.
Absolutely.
So I have my fiance doing that. I'm trying to make sure my dad is okay. I'm working. Like, it was a lot. I actually don't know how I got through it. Probably just prayer and faith. But when I decided to close my business, at that point I was so stressed. I closed the business on Black Friday in November. That was like the last day, like, sale, discount, like, stuff is 50% off. Get it while it's hot. Get all these products. And when I say over the next couple of days, like, I could feel the stress leaving my body.
Oh, wow.
It was the craziest thing ever. Like, I was like, I'm just gonna let go of everything. I think I lost 5 pounds, like, within a week.
Wow.
Just from not being stressed. And people ask me all the time, like, well, do you miss your business? I'm like, no.
Because it's
I
a
don't
lot.
miss my business. Like, entrepreneurship, it's nice. But it's not for everyone. And I'm not going to say it's not for me, but it can take a toll on you.
Yeah.
And so one of the things my therapist, she told me to do, which is something that I've never done, is very hard. She was like, I want you to do nothing. And I was like, what? Like, what does that even mean? And my fiance tells me all the time, he's like, you're so busy, like you always have to be doing stuff. He was like, relax. I'm like, I am relaxed while I'm on the computer. He was like, you're not relaxed, like you're on the laptop. And she was like, I just want you to do nothing. And I'm like, I don't know how to do nothing.
I think we get busy sometimes and we don't realize we're addicted to being busy.
Yes. I was very addicted to being busy because if I wasn't running the store, I was writing a blog post, I was posting to Instagram, I was going to a natural hair event or going to some type of event. I was taking care of my dad, I was taking care of my family. But it's like, well, who's taking care of you? You know?
Yeah, and I think that's the scary place. Not only mentally and emotionally, but physically, it takes a toll on your body.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I could feel the stress leaving my body, and I was like, you know, I was the heaviest I've been, like, in a couple years, at the end of last year. And I was like, you know, I'm going to do nothing. And that was hard for me, but, you know, I got through it. So I went to the therapist for about, let's say, from December, I would say until like March of this year.
Good. Yeah. So I think we often, especially in the Black community, we think that one session or two sessions, or I went, and I feel better, I vented, but it's not about that. It's about discovery and just kind of learning things about yourself. And sometimes you need it way, way, way longer to process through things. So what would you say was the biggest lesson you learned getting counseling?
Yeah. Well, there are a couple lessons, actually. One is it's like they say, therapy is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's like one of the things I love that Malik always says in her podcast. It's like exercise for your brain.
Yes.
You know, it's like you don't go to the gym just once, lift a couple weights. You're like, ooh, I'm snatched.
I did that.
Like, no, you have to put in the work and you have to continue to go. And so that was a big learning lesson for me. Like, I was going, I think she had me coming like once every 3 weeks. Thank God I didn't need it more than that. But if I did, you know, that's
but
fine
if
too.
you do, and it's okay to need it. If you need it longer than that, it's okay.
Yeah, but I'm thank God on my pocketbook because still
not
cheap.
For real.
My job has an amazing program though. We have EAP, so I got 5 free sessions, and then after that, my copay kicks in. But therapy is definitely a marathon, not a sprint. Like, you have to continue going and you continue to build upon the things that you learned in the previous week. And she would give me homework. Like, it was things I had to do, and things like that. The other biggest learning lesson I learned in therapy was the significance and the importance of understanding your childhood wounds and how that shapes who you are as an adult.
It does. And
how you interact with other people, relationships that you build with your significant other, with your best friends, with even your coworkers, like things that tick you off. That was such an eye-opening experience for myself, even with my fiance when we went. So even to the point now, if something is bothering me, like if we get into an argument, we can easily dissect, okay, what is this argument really about? Like, and one of the most powerful things she told me in therapy is like, no one can make you mad. No one has the power to make you mad.
So say more about that.
Yes. So she was like, people don't control your feelings. It's about how you are receiving that. I can make the choice whether I'm going to get mad at that or not. Another important thing that she had me do during grief counseling, especially since we're talking about grief therapy, and it sounds like the weirdest thing ever because I didn't want to do it, she had me role play with my deceased father.
Oh, wow.
And she had me sit on the couch, and I was like sitting in front of him, and I had to play myself talking to my dad and play my dad talking back to me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was the craziest thing I've ever done, and I did not want to do it. And I was like, this is so stupid. But the purpose of the exercise was for me to understand or put out on the table, like, how did I see my dad? how did I see the relationship that we had? Like, what is something that he would say to me right now if he was still here?
Wow.
It was the most powerful thing I've ever done. Like, I cried talking to myself.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, I bet that was tough. I can imagine.
So tough. And I was crying, boo-hooing like a baby. But when I say, I think we did that exercise probably in December of 2017. I have not cried since.
Wow.
About my dad's passing.
That's amazing.
It was the most amazing, the craziest, and the most powerful thing I've ever done, all wrapped into one.
Wow.
Like, I've been sad about my dad.
Right.
And I would even say sad is probably a little stretch. I've been very nostalgic and very like, oh, if my dad was here. But
right.
I have not had a boo-hoo, breakdown, crying moment in the middle of the night.
Because it helped you to let go of the ideas of things, or
yeah, definitely. I think I had one of those moments. I'm trying to think. Was it? Maybe it was probably like around Christmas or something. But I haven't had like, I have not had like a whole breakdown moment where I felt like I couldn't control myself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that was very powerful. So I would definitely say those three things. Therapy is a marathon, not a sprint. Really understand your childhood wounds and understand the power that someone else has over you to make you mad.
Right. And I would think, this is just my opinion, but you can definitely chime in. Understanding your childhood wounds, you would definitely have to go through it with a therapist versus you trying to figure it out yourself.
Yes. I wrote a blog post on Texture Talk, 3 ways to determine like if you need therapy or something like that. And one of them, of course, I'm talking about childhood wounds. And it's like, that's not something that you can identify yourself.
Right.
That's not something your best friend can identify. Like, this was a long, extensive process of answering like 100-page questionnaire to talk about things that may have happened in your childhood, childhood traumas, the relationship you have with your mom, the relationship you have with God, like your sisters. Like, it's a process, you know? Like, this is
you hear that word? I swear, I think in every interview I've done, it's always that word comes out as the process.
Yes.
Process.
Definitely. So, and what I love so much since I've opened up about going to therapy, now I see that my friends are talking to me about it more.
Yes.
Like, I think I'm going to go to therapy, or, oh, I just booked an appointment like to see a therapist. And I'm like, yes.
And I think it's, I mean, not always to think, oh, just childhood trauma, or just, oh, I was, this, or I had this happen to me. Sometimes you just need it to work through anxieties or just daily life. And every now, even if you just go once a month or twice a month or whatever it is that you need, I think just mental awareness period is so important, especially with social media, with just life and everything, just trying to handle everything. It helps you to kind of sort things out and prioritize. Therapy, I can't stress it enough.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
One of the things I also think people should understand is that, since we're still talking on the topic of childhood wounds, a childhood wound doesn't have to be like this traumatic event that happened in your life. Like, oh, I was raped by my uncle. Like, that's definitely a childhood wound. But even, let's say, watching the dynamic of your mom and your dad. And it's like, my mom stayed at home, my dad went to work, and that was the relationship that they had. That's not a negative thing, but that is a childhood thing for you, and that's how you see things. And maybe in your adult life, that is affecting the relationship that you have
or
with
expectations,
dating, or expectations, because you're like, well, I just want to stay at home and I'm going to do this, and then you're meeting these guys and they're like, well, no, that's not what I'm about.
We work.
Yeah. And you're like, well, that's what my mom always did, so that's what I want.
Right.
So it's a quote unquote wound because it's something that you have witnessed and experienced, and it's having an effect on your life and shaping you in a certain way. So it's like, I really want to normalize therapy.
That's the word.
And have people understand that it's just a tune-up.
Yes.
Sometimes you need people to talk to who are not your best friend.
Yes, I think it's just as you said when you first were talking about going to therapy, about a workout for your mind, and just the way we are working out and trying to get fit, or working out trying to lose weight, or undo some things that we have done by eating or not being able to do anything. You have to just kind of just be whole all over, not just out on the outer.
Definitely.
Yeah.
my purpose and my mission to bless and empower women. And so that goes under an umbrella of business, of beauty, of self-care, which is how I came to the decision to revamp and relaunch my blog. So it's focusing on those things and not just natural hair, because we all know as women we're multifaceted. You know, we're not just natural hair. We're not just like curls popping all day.
Exactly. they don't pop always.
No, not always. I was in the mirror this morning, like, okay. So we're so multidimensional.
We are.
So and it's amazing when you discover your purpose or you determine what your mission is, how doors will open for you and things just start falling into place, like working with Boss Women Who Brunch, and how that just kind of aligned itself, and relaunching my blog, you reaching out and asking me to do this because now you're on a new journey, you know?
Yes.
And it makes it and it makes it so much easier to say no to certain things because they don't align with your purpose.
Thank you for saying that. I think that's something I shared during the Boss Women Who Brunch coffee chat, making sure that some things that come to you or something that someone else is doing, you can't look at it and say, oh, I wish I was doing that. Why aren't I having that? Maybe that isn't aligned. You have to go back and always check, what is my purpose or what is my vision for this particular thing? And does this really match up to what I'm doing? And if it doesn't, you got to eliminate and take some things off your plate.
I love also that knowing my purpose and my mission, I have such a more healthy relationship with Instagram, because let me tell you, you can scroll through Instagram and be like, oh my gosh, she's doing this, she's doing that, and now I scroll past and I'm like, oh girl, that's good for you.
Exactly.
Exactly. Like, that's not for me. That's fine.
Exactly.
That's fine.
It just streamlines everything.
Because Instagram, if we're being honest, it can take a toll on you because the comparison game is real. I don't care how old you are, what industry you're in. Like, the comparison game is a real thing, but when you know what your purpose and your mission is, it makes it easier. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still like side-eyeing some people, but it's not to the point where I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life?
Oh, I'm wasting it. You know, I just like, doing nothing.
I know what I'm doing. I got my own thing going on. Like, it's fine, girl. You go do you.
And I think that's so important. Just social media all over. Of course, people are showing you, as Charlene mentioned earlier, their highlight reel, or just they're doing this and they're doing that and they're doing this. But what is it pulling you away from? And I even had to get, for myself, pull away from feeling like I have to post all the time, or I have to post. I've taken this whole weekend off from posting, but it's given me such, I was in the moment. Like, you know, with my daughter, she's graduated, or she just graduated this weekend, but it allowed me to be in the moment with my family. It allowed me to get stuff done because I'm not editing and posting and editing and posting. They'll get it and they'll see it when I post it. So, and I'm okay.
Exactly.
I'm okay. Quality. If you unfollowed me because I didn't post, then we wasn't for each other.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Quality over quantity. And I mean,
absolutely.
Instagram, you know, Instagram is staged, so I can post a picture from 2 months ago and you would think it's from today.
Yes, and I have ones where I'm just like, child, barely out of bed, hair still tied up, and I'm posting this picture and I look so fabulous. But if you see me right now,
I have Instagram scheduled to post for like a week. Like, from pictures from months ago. So
exactly. So planned out. So here on Heart of the Matter, I always like to close out by asking a few questions. Okay. My first question is, what advice would you now give yourself when you were going through losing your dad, closing out your business, and just carrying all of that weight? What advice would you give yourself now, or to someone who is going through something similar?
I would have told myself to take a break, to take a step back. And it's not what you want to hear during the time. I know. Because you're just like, I want to keep myself busy so I can keep my mind off of whatever. I would definitely say to take a break. And I would say to get in therapy as soon as possible. Yeah. I'm not sure I would still say as soon as possible, because I feel like it's a decision that you have to make for yourself
at the time
to want to go. But I would say sooner rather than later. Like, don't let years go by. Like, I'm very happy I did it within the same year versus letting years go by, because I feel like then it's harder to unpack stuff and things are not at top of mind and is as fresh. So I would say sooner rather than later. I'm not saying your dad passes on Friday, you got to be in there on Monday.
Right.
But, you know, within a couple of months would be ideal.
And I really like what you just said about unpacking things, because grief is a real thing, and it affects you for years and years and years, especially when you have ideas of things or you're missing certain things. So for you to share about having to do the role play, I think that's so powerful, because you do get to unpack things that you didn't even realize you were harboring.
Exactly.
What did you learn about yourself through this whole process in your journey to now?
I learned that it's okay to not know what you're going to do next.
I like that. I like that.
That was very hard for me to accept, because I closed my business and I'm like, so now what? I need a new business idea.
Right.
Like, what am I going to do with this? What am I going to do with that? And it felt really good just to not know what was going to happen. Like,
and be okay with that, to accept not knowing.
And to be okay. I was like, oh, so this is what it feels to end work and sit on the couch and watch TV and not have to write a blog post or put together a promotional marketing email or, you know, order some new deep conditioners or, you know, I'm like, wow, like, this is relaxing. Yeah. And I told myself, I was like, you know, I don't want to just jump back into business. I was like, the only way I would do something again is if, like, I felt really moved to do it. Like, something that kept me up in the middle of the night because I can't stop thinking about it. So I definitely learned, like, it's okay just to be still. I think Oprah said that in one of her interviews, like, there's power in being still. That's exactly what she said.
It is.
There's power in being still.
The being still part is, like, so powerful. And sometimes, again, it goes back to being addicted to being busy, and you don't even realize that is an addiction. And sometimes that's hard, especially the not knowing part, because you feel like, oh, I'm being unproductive, or I'm being lazy, or I'm letting things go by. But sometimes you just need to relax and be still. Yeah. So, Charlene, I want to say thank you so much for being a guest here and sharing all of the nuggets and the gems that you dropped. It's so powerful. And can you tell everybody where to find you on social media and your blog?
Of course. So you can find me on social media at Textured Talk. And that is TexturedTalk. And the blog is texturedtalk.com. The Facebook is Textured Talk Blog. But if you go to the website, you can find everything you need there.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for tuning in for another episode of Heart of the Matter. We enjoyed chatting with you today, and stay tuned for the next week. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.